So let me introduce the next expert professional from Finland, my friend Paul. So I think the best way is to let Paul to introduce himself and his topic.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Hello, everyone, again. It's been a long day, but absolutely great to follow all presentations so far. And I hope that you'll also find something insightful in what I'm about to tell you in the next 10-15 minutes. Myself, I'm a forester originally from Romania, nowadays living in Finland. In the past 20 years, I've been traveling many places and worked in more than 30 different countries in different capacities, from running harvesting companies to establishing association of forest owners, small scale or very large scale timberland managers, global size companies, consultancy work a lot done from Japan all the way to South America and the northern part of Africa to very many countries in Europe. So it's something that we do on a regular basis, something that we like, and we believe that has a great future. I will quickly share my screen with you because I want to shift a little bit the discussion towards an area in Europe and also in the world which is usually overlooked for different reasons, mainly of them, or mainly most of them geopolitical ones. It's Southeastern Europe. A few days ago, when we discussed with Alex preparing this event, he intimated that there were people from the audience from around the world wondering what is Eastern Europe, Southeastern Europe. So that's a good question. In today's presentation, I will tackle Romania, Bulgaria, which is called usually the Balkans, then former Yugoslavian countries, which is the Western Balkans, and then also Hungary. On some maps, you find these countries in Central Europe, or some other you find them in Southeastern Europe. The idea is that you will see this is an area which is usually overlooked by investors and by most of the big businesses. Some of the biggest challenges that the world is facing now, and especially Europe, considering the war in Ukraine, is fixing broken or badly functioning supply chains. I think this has perturbed severely all the wood-based industries and pulp and paper in Europe. Then relocating production facilities, finding suitable places for greenfield projects. This is something that is currently happening. And then, of course, delivering on the promise of profitability that every CEO and board of directors has to deliver to the investors and to the owners. So it's these are things which are high on the agenda. As I mentioned, this is what I mean with Southeastern Europe. And you see that it's not a small area at all. It's larger than Germany and Poland combined. There are plus minus 60 million people living here, and there are lots of forests. Over 26 million hectares of forest in all these countries, with over 5.5 billion cubic meters of wood standing, which is almost as much as Finland and Sweden have together. There is a lot of growth because the climate and the soils are very favorable. So forest grows about 130 million cubic meters a year, out of which some 70 million are being harvested. At least this is the recorded level of the legal harvesting. There are also very high concerns and efforts to mitigate illegal logging that takes place, that oftentimes is infatuated or overemphasized and inflated by different media and other organizations without really understanding what lies beneath there. And another thing that it's very important to understand is that here you have basically a territory between the Adriatic Sea, which is pretty warm one, and the Black Sea, which is not so warm, but except in the summertime. but it's important to understand that you have a great variety of species and valuable ones. That's why the possibilities for different kinds of applications are also much more than in other countries where you have 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 economically important species. Let's say Finland, the place where I live nowadays. And of course, there is certification in place. There is Natura 2000 happening in the EU member states and also in the ones which have signed the accession agreements with the European Union. And this is something of high concern, of course, for the local forest owners, for the local industry. On the one hand, it has the potential to impact negatively on the commercial forestry, but it has great potential to enable conservation forestry, carbon forestry, biodiversity-related programs. So all this area also is very somehow well connected, both into an integrated part of it into the European Union market, but has access to the MENA market, Middle East and Northern Africa altogether. It can access easily plus minus 1 billion consumer market. And I think this is not something to be overlooked. It's not an easy area, I can tell you. Earlier today, when Ashley from FAO was mentioning Serbia as ranking number one in terms of production of energy wood, I was smiling because it's very difficult also for FAO to collect data. They have to try to cross-reference the data that they get from there. I know they've run also independent studies in order to confirm what the local government was saying, because if you look at the energy wood from Serbia, it's higher than the total harvesting of Serbia. And then you have to wonder and understand, well, how can that be? And then when I go to Romania, I know for sure that the firewood used by the local population is at least double than what Serbia reports as total energy wood. And but the Romanian government doesn't report it like this to FAO, so they have hard times in recording all their data and putting really accurate data in their database. It's not an easy job, especially in an area where you don't find easily information in the in anything else but local languages, where you have, let's say, confusing data at some point and reports, contradictory ones sometimes. I was discussing a few months ago with a business intelligence manager of a large pulp and paper company, and he wanted to know if Bosnia and Herzegovina, they have 43%, 53%, or 63% forest area, because he found all free data. And I had to explain to him how it's possible to have 3 different kind of big different data regarding the forest area of a country. And that's something that it's not easy to go by or to come by if you don't have local knowledge, if you don't work with local consultants, if you don't have any chance to cross-check on the data available. One click away, it's not easy in this area, I can tell you. You don't find much things in English. But there are certain things that are, let's say, common, more or less common for this area, and it's not easy to access it or to step into it, but not impossible either. First of all, I would say that small scattered private forest ownership, at the same time with a very strong state, which makes private forestry usually unprofitable, state forestry usually dominant. And then you know, when you come here as an investor, you know with whom you have to deal. Then you have a rather restrictive legislation, both environmental and forestry related. I would say some of the most restrictive legislation that exists in European Union. And this is one of the reasons why illegal logging, as it is understood and reported and recorded in official statements in these countries, is definitely not illegal logging in other countries in Western Europe. What it's absolutely 100% legal for private forest owners in Finland, Sweden, or Germany to do in his own forest is 100% illegal to do in Romania. If you take Romanian legislation and you apply it to Germany, I guarantee that you have minimum 10 million cubic meters of illegally logged wood, which nowadays is not illegally logged wood because there is a German legislation, not Romanian one. So yeah, it's important to try to scale the same measurement unit if you want to look, or just know how to read and interpret different kinds of reports. infrastructure has been poor and kept poor. That's why, on the other hand, this helped a lot of biodiversity to thrive in this area. So there are lots of places untouched, pristine nature, fantastic landscape, fantastic biodiversity, extremely rich. That's why the focus of European Union is very much towards protecting this biodiversity. Unfortunately, in my view, just imposing rules and not funding any kind of compensatory mechanisms is going to result in a disaster, both for the overall program and ambitious goals of the EU and for the biodiversity itself. So the Brussels has to come to the ground level, get a reality check, and do a little bit better job in terms of funding this area. Then that's what I mentioned here. It's a lack of funding also impacted on the costs of the companies, starting from forest management, forest harvesting, and all the way we saw today different schemes and the nice photos of supply chains or the value chain. So this is something that really defines the entire area, all these countries that I mentioned here. But it's not only difficult things or everything that is difficult, it's also coming as an opportunity. You see, there are lots of opportunities, some generated by the overall global developments like population growth, increase in demand for wood, the need to become energy independent, the need to switch from fossil-based to, let's say, more sustainable or renewable-based products. There is a lot of possibilities towards carbon offsetting, towards biodiversity, once somebody manages to monetize it somehow and make a funding mechanism or a scheme or a marketplace also for biodiversity. It's not going to be easy, but I think it's worth doing it. So there are lots of opportunities from the overall frame, but there are also local ones, like it's possible to really harvest more wood than it's done nowadays. It's I would say it would be absolutely natural to liberalize a little bit the legislation, give some more rights to the local forest owners, reduce a little bit the influence of the state, not reduce their overview of how forestry happens, is being implemented, but let forest owners to benefit a bit more. Just because myself traveling the world, I don't know a single country where people are poor and nature thrives. I don't know that. If somebody from the community here looking at us knows a place where people are poor and the nature does great, please let me know. I think that poverty is a big issue. So poverty not only in terms of monetary things, but poverty in the mind, and what kind of information you incorporate and how you understand the changing world that we are living in. So, and then I mentioned again, and I want to re-emphasize this, the access to both areas of European Union market and the MENA market. One which is a global player and the other one which is a very, very strongly growing area. And hopefully it's going to stay, or we're going to get more peaceful and more business oriented. Then the key driver, because it was also mentioned in the FAO, it was also some other presentation earlier, the firewood, the energy wood, if you want it. This is something that really drives all these forestry sectors in all these countries. This is the constant of each sector, because there is a lot of rural population in high demand and let's say critically dependent on firewood, especially during this cold season. And this is something where lots of opportunities rely, especially in a time when again, energy supply and energy ties towards the east are being reconsidered. And I think it's important to keep this in mind when trying to enter this area. Main takeaways, as I said, potential for much bigger biomass to be sourced for all kinds of applications. You have to understand that you have here all type of wood processing industry, because I mentioned earlier that it's a great variety of species. I think basically almost all European species, almost all European tree species, you find them in these countries. There are applications for using them accordingly. So it's you find here fantastic sawmills, flooring, furniture companies, pulp and paper companies. Slowly coming also a new novel, let's say, bioproducts. There are interests of different companies, especially from Germany and from Northern Europe, from Scandinavia, to step into this area and establish production facilities and integrate them with existing sectors, other sectors like the textile sector or the automotive sector. Lots of things, lots of applications for the wood and its components, of course, lignin, cellulose, and hemicellulose, to be integrated with other sectors that are very, very well developed in this area. Then I would say that it's extremely important to try to find local experts when you try to come to this area. People who know the language, who understand the culture, people who have been working with other foreigners who wanted to come to their country, understand what an investor is looking for. And of course, they have the right connections to access the right kind of data and people in their own countries. If you fail in doing that, and you just think that it's easy to enter, I can guarantee you that it's not. And me working for almost 20 years in this area, I learned also by doing mistakes, by failing every now and then. So I think it's extremely important to understand and to learn from that. Towards the end of my presentation, I'm just putting there the Chinese word for crisis, which is of course danger, but also opportunity. And I think that's something that you have to take away with you when thinking about this entire area, which I said it's not small, has a lot of people, has a lot of wood, has a lot of resources. Because we have been focusing for many years on this area, we are producing a lot of country-made reports or customized reports for different clients, and also multi-client reports, really starting from terms of references set by different clients from different sectors. So basically are the business intelligence managers, board members, and CEOs who tell us what they are interested in. And in years and years of working and gathering their interests, then we somehow managed to really narrow and focus on the most relevant data that you can get in a report which you can read in a 2 hours flight. That was the idea, something that a very, very busy guy can do while he stays or he sits on a seat on the airplane between two places in Europe usually. And these reports are something that we're all the time doing. Then in the free time that pandemic gave me, when I was not able to travel very much, I came up with an idea together with a Romanian forester fellow who works now for the European Forest Institute, and we edited and then also contributed as writers to a little book called The Plan B for Romania's Forests and Society. We put together a book brought together over 25 writers, researchers, professionals, guys from the EU Commission, people from 7 countries, I think. And also we got the endorsement of at that time, His Royal Highness Prince Charles. The book was launched last year. Now the prince has become king, and we are in the process of translating the book into Romanian language. Like right now, the book is available. It's free of charge. We printed, I think, 1,500 copies that we distributed for free. That was the idea, just to bring Romanian and foreigners' views on societal issues, on governance, on environment, and on the business when it came to the Romanian market. So that was sort of a hobby. Then together with Alex, who is the heart and soul of this event which we are attending today, we came up with another thing. This is another baby of Alex, I would say. It's called the Wood Business Book. And I came up with the idea that this is the what is what and who is who in our sector. So it's a new thing that we are announcing now and will come pretty soon in coming weeks, where we also benefited, and we are grateful for the endorsement and support of Isabel La Paz from IFSA, who was in the first panel today. The idea is to have a sort of not only glossary of words and definitions and terminology of forestry, but also to bring together some of the most important photographers and bloggers of the forest sector around the world. We have over 20 guys who have been contributing, and are also we will spread this news. So this is a sort of tool where we try to put together information and also to present things in the future about different sectors of our industry, to present country statistics, to come up with analysis about different companies. So it's sort of an open and a work in progress book, which will have two types of versions. One will be online, always updatable, easily updatable, and one which will be also printed, several thousand copies, which most likely will go again. We try to do it mostly for the students, but not only. It's something that Alex will come up on the online in coming weeks. Something that I welcome all of you to get through, give us your honest feedback, then positive criticism, teach us, correct us if we are wrong in something. It's always possible, it's always good to be wrong and to get criticized. So, and also if you feel that you want to be part of this project, just let us know. I will end my presentation just telling you that, in my opinion, humans have been, are, and will continue to be living in the wood age. This is my feeling, one way or another. From the days of the ice age, when wood kept us alive, to the days of climate change and global warming, when I'm again on the opinion that wood products, novel bioproducts, will help us go through. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul, for your nice presentation and good words about our upcoming project. And I have to notice your digital reports about these countries like Croatia, Bulgaria, and the others, because it's very important even for the attendees and the wood industry at all to understand where they can find relevant information, original information, what they can do remotely. Of course, every one of us, we have a lot of friends and, you know, business contacts worldwide, yeah. And every time when we want to do something, we just take our phone, you know, open our contacts and make these calls. But that's not enough sometimes to understand, you know, the scope of local specific. So I recommend everyone to take a look at these reports to understand an idea of these reports. If you want to add something, probably I think Paul is open, you know, to cooperation. Yeah,
sure, absolutely.
So thank you very much.